Welcome to Harmonious World. I'm Hilary Robertson, writer, teacher, and sax player from the UK. Harmonious World is all about chats that I have with people who create the music that we all love to listen to. In this episode, I'm joined by my guest, Ros Gilman, talking about the music that he's created in the past, what he's been doing during lockdown, and what he's got coming up in the future. Hello.
Hi. Yes, I'm very well. It's great to finally see
connect
sort of.
properly. Yeah. Tell me a bit. Obviously, I've read your biog, but tell me a bit about your background.
Yes, absolutely. So I was born in Russia, in Moscow, and my parents are both professional musicians. My mum is a violinist, and my dad is music theory. Well, used to be a music theory. I sort of was born into a family of music lovers and musicians. And when I was 3, I first got my first mini violin that I tried playing when my mum brought it, and didn't work out quite as well. But yeah, I started with music very early on, and have been doing it ever since. Started piano slightly after those are my two main instruments: the violin, and my first instrument, and the piano, my second.
Okay, and so you were in there. You are in Moscow with your mum, who's a violinist, and your dad, who's a professor at theory.
That's
And
right.
how are you in London now? Where did your journey?
Oh, wow. Yes, it is a bit of a long journey, I have to say. So, at first, I went to the Gnesin Music School in Moscow, where they sort of it's a school for musically gifted children. So you have a sort of an entrance exam, and then you have preparatory classes, and then you start a musical journey, choose your instrument. And when I was 9.5, I believe, my parents and myself, obviously included, we moved to Germany. At the times back in Russia were rather difficult. I have to say, I remember one moment where my mum said to go buy some bread, and I went into a fairly large bakery, and there was nothing on the shelves at all, no bread at all. So that was one of the last
Yeah.
sort of moments that I remember back in Russia, which is completely different these days. But back then it was not ideal.
No.
So exactly, yeah. We moved to fortunate to move to Germany, just outside of sort of a suburban town of Munich, Bavaria, and that's where I spent my teenage years. When I 10, 11, and onwards, went to school there, and then kept doing music. So yeah, I took the music from Russia and brought it to Germany.
Right.
And after that, I went to music university to study music, and I was very pleased and quite fortunate to have been accepted at the University of Vienna, the
Wow.
University of Music. That was a great day. I remember getting the results over the phone from my violin professor back then. And I was jumping up and down in the air, and I was very happy because I knew I was going to study at this great institution. And I think the likes of Mahler have either taught there or studied there, and it's a great company to
Yeah.
be in. And in Vienna, when I was there, I had a head injury. You
Yes, I knew about
might
that.
exactly might know this, and so I had to sort of move away from violin to music, pardon me, to composition. So if you can't perform, you can either conduct or compose, and that's what I did eventually. Applied at the University of Music in Vienna. Again, they had a film music. A film composition faculty, I suppose, I don't know, a degree. That's right. Yes, a master's degree in composition for music. And one of the few back then. I think there's a lot more now, but so back then that was one of the few ones in the country, and I got in. And towards the end of my master's degree, I got into an Erasmus program, so an exchange program for students, which I think might still exist today. And I was, again, very fortunate to have been accepted by the Royal College of Music here in London. And another happy moment that I vividly remember. And after, obviously I went to London for a semester, and and then returned, and I really enjoyed my time here. And I fell in love with this city, and after my master's, I decided to move back to London, and this is where I've been ever since. So this is it's a long story,
Yeah,
medium short, I'd say. Apparently, I got from Moscow to London.
that's brilliant. That's fantastic. So let's talk about what you've been working on pre-lockdown. So what have your most recent projects been? So obviously on my radio show I played your violin, your Tchaikovsky melody. That was your kind of foray back into playing the violin.
That's right. Yes,
That's
that's right. You kindly played that track. Thank you. Well, I'm very pleased, Hilary, that you enjoyed it. What I've been working on as a composer, mainly the beginning of this year and towards the very end of last year, I did two projects. One score for a short film by a London-based director, Malcolm Roy Greenhill, who has done a wonderful project called Lila about a young actress who suffers from Tourette's. So it's about her story, and I'm not sure when it will come out, considering all the times we were in. But we were fortunate to record with a live orchestra, I think with 34 players or so in Portugal, and that was one project that I've worked on. And sorry, a wind ensemble, flutes, clarinets, and French horn, the South Florida chamber ensemble, which is very engaged in social issues and educating young listeners, especially about classical music. So these are the two that I've been working on sort of before we went into lockdown.
Right, right. And how has lockdown been for you?
Well, you know what, Hilary, it's actually turned out quite well in terms of that you're giving all this time that you usually wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Because you have other obligations. I don't know how you felt about it.
Well, I must admit, I've felt the same, that I've been more creative. So I've been freed up from other things. And all of a sudden I'm kind of going, oh, okay, I'm going to try something new. And that's where this Harmonious World podcast came from. That I actually thought, I like chatting to people, I like chatting to musicians. So why don't I try a podcast? So for me, it's been really sort of opening up new creative fields.
And I'm quite excited to be on your newly created podcast.
Yeah.
I think so that's like you're saying, it can lead to wonderful things. And in my scenario, the things I worked on in lockdown, which is sort of still continuing as we speak, I've done a very exciting project that I'm very excited about personally, called Last Cloud Weaver, with a London-based animation studio called Dragon Bee.
Oh.
And yes, it's we've worked with the director, who was Anna Astavolish, who's also a Russian born director, I believe. I've worked on an animation before, and this one is very exciting, and we're just waiting. The soundtrack's all completed. It's for a large orchestra, and we're just waiting for the border sort of to open up so that I can travel abroad to record it. And I can't wait. I'll certainly keep you updated about this.
Yeah,
It's a project, and I've done another project with Dragon Bee and Anna from Dragon Bee, which is a stop motion animation. So we did these two projects during the lockdown. Used our creative juices to we'll use the time to create like yourself.
yeah, that's fantastic. That sounds brilliant.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing that and hearing it. And then talk to me about Dawn of Hope. So how did that come about?
Well, the Dawn of Hope is a track, a single that I will be releasing on the 19th of June, which will be available on Spotify and iTunes and all other streaming and download platforms. And originally, Hilary, like you said, it's a soundtrack from a documentary film, and that was about a very dark topic, the November 2015 Paris attacks.
Oh yeah.
The terror attacks. back then, and it's for two guitars, and an alto flute comes in at the end. Indeed, this sort of slightly revised version. I've re-recorded it and arranged it a little bit from the documentary, but it's difficult as it was. I sort of was trying to aim for a subtle message of hope within all these. There's all this despair and darkness, and I thought this is sort of a really good time to release this track, because I can imagine all the people in lockdown and longing to see their friends and family, and it's difficult. So I thought this is a good message to send out. It's not your average happy track,
No.
but it's a message of hope. And the soundtrack, the documentary was produced by a French production company, Pac Press, I think in Paris. And the title of, I should probably say that as well, the title is Paris est un cible. I can't really pronounce this, but it means Paris is the target.
Yeah, Paris est un cible.
That's right. Oh, yes. You obviously you speak French, unlike me.
Un peu.
All right, which is much more than me. Thank you for pronouncing it properly.
That's all right. That's okay. So that's all great. That's all brilliant. So what about the future? What plans have you got? So obviously there's this animation and getting that music recorded and ready to go. What else have you got coming up?
That's right. So I think what will be happening in the future in terms of these projects is that many of them will see the light of day. So I'm hoping that Lila will soon hit the festival circuit, and then I'm also planning to release the soundtrack there. Again, the piece that I've composed for the South Florida Chamber Ensemble, which is actually a piece we've done for the charity Water Aid, which helps mainly people in, I think, Central American countries, and they build water fountains and pipes and so on and so forth. So that was originally written to be performed months ago, but that will hopefully be there. Well, premiere. In fact, and we're having an online rehearsal in this Sunday, and I think the musicians will be in their garden. So that will be very exciting. I'm looking forward to that. And yes, and definitely the recording session with this large orchestra for the last Cloud Weaver, which I'm very much looking forward to. Apart from that, apart from the releases, so this music will come out. All of these projects I'm planning to release, and there is another sort of larger project that I'm not going to go into detail at the moment, but if that comes together, I'm hoping that this will be something to share with people as well.
Excellent. That's brilliant. That's fantastic. Show notes for this podcast, I'll make sure that there's a link to your website so that people can go and they can see what you're up to. That's brilliant. That's so wonderful. Exciting. Yeah. So,
Thank you, Hilary. Thank you.
That's all right. So just sort of kind of on a lighter, more social note, what are you most looking forward to about lockdown being ended eventually?
That's a really good question. Well, I suppose the usual. I suppose really seeing friends again, and also being able to travel for the gyms to open up. I miss that. The usual lineup of things that we would have. I suppose many of us, at least me, taken for granted before all this, and everybody's running around with very long hair.
Yes, absolutely.
You actually, I wouldn't have guessed, because you look very lovely and tidy up compared to me.
Thank you.
I look like a mess.
It's much longer than I normally have it. I usually go really short, and it's I'm trying to keep it tidy as long as I can, but
it's working very well for you. I think for ladies it might be possibly, I correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to tread on anybody's toes, but I think for ladies it might be somewhat easier to come sort of keep longer hair than for men who like short hair like
that. Yeah. I did say to somebody the other day that I wish that at the beginning of lockdown I'd shaved my head, because then it would be like coming in, right now.
It would be just the right length.
Yeah. But,
Yeah, I guess, I should have done that.
Well, thank you so much. I've really appreciated talking to you. It's been fantastic.
It's a pleasure, Hilary. Pleasure's all mine. Thanks for inviting me, and thanks for this podcast and all the many other episodes and the other artists that you're interviewing, that you people find out about, and I think it's a wonderful thing you're doing. Thank you.
I really appreciate it. All right, and stay in touch, because I'll keep playing your music and following what you're doing. And
certainly will.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, Hilary.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye now.
So that was great, talking to Ros, who I've followed on social media for a long time, and we've never actually talked face to face. And although it's not like sharing a cup of tea together, it was really good. That was nice to talk to him. So I hope you've enjoyed listening to our conversation. I've got some exciting people coming up that I'm going to be interviewing in the coming weeks. Please subscribe wherever you usually get your podcasts. If you could leave me a review, that would be brilliant. That would help me to improve. Thank you for joining me this week on Harmonious World, and see you next time. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and it's a great delight to bring this series of discussions with musicians and composers and writers and all sorts of people to you. Obviously, there's no point in having a podcast if people aren't listening, and I'm very grateful to my listeners for doing so. Thanks also to Joe English for composing and performing this new theme tune. So wherever you get your podcast, you can leave a review. You can share this with your friends and family, either as a link or on social media and that sort of thing. I'd be really grateful for that. Don't forget that you can subscribe now. There's a link wherever you get your podcasts. So have a great week, and please remember why I started this, which is just to try and make the world a little more harmonious. Thanks for listening to Harmonious World.